Hey everyone, Mad Hatter here, and today I'll simply be guiding you on what the best characters are for story and what the best teams are for story. Now, this is mainly going to focus on up to World 11, because if you can comfortably clear World 10 and 11, you're not going to struggle in the later worlds because they're not anything fundamentally different. They all follow the same rules. Build a proper team, use proper equipment, build proper synergies, and just dodge. That's it. They just build on those fundamentals. So as long as you learn how to properly build and process those fundamentals in your head and in your gameplay, you're going to be fine beyond World 11 because it's essentially just the same thing, but slightly more difficult. So you're going to be fine. But let's begin. I'm going to go to an empty team here, hopefully. Please. Knight. Okay, no, guess there's no empty Knight team. We're just gonna take Garam's spot. This is supposed to be the Water Raid team, but it's whatever. Let's begin. So for story, I'm gonna flat out say don't use Knight. The Knight is not a great character for story. He just doesn't perform as well as, most of us would like him to. He can obviously use multiple weapons, so, at first it's like really cool. Oh, he's gonna use a sword now. He can use a gun now. But he's a jack. He's not even a jack of all trades. He can try different things, but he's not going to be good at different things. Now, rare heroes. I'm just going to I'm going to do a separate video on what the best rare heroes are, but this isn't going to be a best rare heroes video. It's just going to be good rare heroes you can actually use for story. So let me just rank this by rarity, and let's begin. Useless. I mean, some people will try and tell you, that maybe you can slot these in for certain spots if you don't have them, but I don't think the majority of the player base agrees. Actually, Favi's not bad, but there's just straight up better healers, so don't even bother with Favi. So he's pretty bad. Now, Aisha's in an interesting spot because with her EX, she's actually a pretty decent DPS buffer, but once again, not really good for stories. So, Dolph, useless. Catherine, useless. Coco, useless for story. Neva, useless for story. White Beast, useless for story. May and Faye, both of them trash. Elvira is not actually half bad because you can ascend her later. Don't focus on ascending rares first, though. It's not bad. She can be a mediocre, sub DPS if you really are struggling with finding damage. It was actually pretty good. She's really good in mono earth clumps if you're running them, or somewhat earth clumps. Kamael is coming next patch with Rosetta, Rue, and the new hero Morian. So Abel's actually going to be really good to use when you start out then, because actually, no, never mind. You could actually just use Mia over her. I just realized that the Canterbury new Guardian training event, whatever it's called, I still don't remember the name, you can just use Maya from there. They give you enough evolution stones to max her out. But if you're looking for a bit more DPS for the party, Abel's probably going to be better than Maya. But if you need more pure healing, then yeah, it's better to just go Maya. So once again, you're probably going to get Maya for free almost maxed out just from the Canterbury basic training, so you're probably not going to need Aoba anymore. I keep forgetting that's a thing, but they're both good. Maya's much better in terms of healing, and she scales better into the mid to end game. Hecate, useless. Amy, pretty bad. Gremory, pretty bad. She's just scuffed for story. She doesn't do anything special, and you just have better options. Shapira, I guess if you're running Beth and you don't have Lilith, she's not a completely trash option. But once again, man, you can probably just run a better team with something like Beth, Maya, Future Princess Craig, right? It's going to do so much better. Ava's not that good. Marvin's, nope. Runpong, I think, yeah, Runpong's not that good. Lorraine's actually pretty good if you have her EX. Her healing's really nice. However, without her EX, her healing's so short-ranged and limited that it doesn't cover the whole party comfortably, and you're going to struggle in a lot of stages due to it's being too gimmicky without her EX. Once you get her EX, it's really, really solid healing because you can overheal. She can now overheal. So any extra heals that she would apply to your characters that would exceed their maximum health, that gets converted into a shield. So she's actually a pretty good option if you have her EX. But once again, I don't think it's going to be better than Maya by any means, especially considering you get Maya almost built for free. So just do keep that in mind. Knight, like I've said, is not that good, right? But there is, in my opinion, one exception where Knight's actually a pretty good option. Okay? And that is if you have Yunha and Knight's bow. That's the only time where Knight's actually not that bad. because you can run Yunha, Knight, Maya, and Future Princess, right? And it's going to be a pretty damn solid team for story. It's just World 10-11 might be a bit hard, but if you play well enough, you can get through it. However, I'm not going to recommend it if you're completely new and fresh, never played the game before, not interested in learning how to dodge, then you're probably just going to want a Future Princess through all that. But if you're actually just trying to get better at the game, it's fine to use, basic parties in 10 and 11. It's not that much worse. It just makes you do more. So Knight's not that horrible with Libera type B and with Yunha, because Yunha is going to be heavily increasing male Knight's damage, and male Knight's also going to be buffing Yunha a bit, right? Do keep in mind chain skills and stuff also play a part in deciding, how strong your party is, so keep that in mind, okay? Now, next up is Karina, and some of you may realize that this Karina looks quite a lot different than maybe your Karina, and that's because this is an ascended version, right? So once you get a rare hero fully evolved up to 5 stars, you can limit break them, right? Just like with any other character. But once you fully limit break them, some rare heroes, Karina, Craig, and Elvira, they can man-fae also, right? But they're just so forgettable. Primarily, you want to be ascending Karina and Craig. That's it. Elvira, if you're into like raids and you're building a fire raid team or something. But other than that, Craig is top priority, Karina is second, right? Back to what I was talking about. You can ascend them for, I believe, 320 hero crystals. Don't quote me on that number. I don't remember it exactly, but that's what you can ascend them for. Karina's not bad. She primarily becomes stronger once you ascend her, right? Non-ascended Karina is relatively weak, and you shouldn't use her. Simply because, once again, as a new player, you're going to get Maya for free. And if you don't have Maya for returning players, I know I'm mentioning Maya a lot. If you don't have Maya, you can use any other healer or characters I mentioned before. You can even check out my healer tier list and stuff. Not tier list, just the best healers in the game that I consider them. So you can check those out if you're not too sure. Now, there's Craig. Craig is just the best pure tanker in the game, okay? In terms of tanking, no character matches up to Craig, okay? Ogma's arguably more versatile because he has 2 forms, gun and a sword. And with sword, he's a tank, you don't need his EX. And with gun, he's a DPS, right? So he is more versatile, whereas Craig is just a pure tank. But in that regard, Craig is a better tank. Craig is so good for tanking, Colo, any PvE content where you need survivability. He's less prominent in Arena, but even there, I don't think he's all too bad if you're new. Especially because, once again, early arenas, you're mostly going to lose because you're either going to disconnect or the opponent's just going to be disconnecting, right? So in those regards, that's the only time where, he might be a bit weaker than normal. Bianca, horrible unit. This is not a real character. This is fake. Ignore that this thing exists. MK99's not bad, right? So you can definitely run a team with her. However, I just don't think you should go for that. There's better budget options considering that a Kama L's coming next week. But Mad Panda Trio, nothing. Priscilla, nothing special. Niche PvP unit. Anyways, I'm just going over my roster at that point. Let me show you some actual teams, right? You get Future Princess for free in World 9, so you can definitely run her quite comfortably. So that's going to be a must, right? As a free-to-play new player, Future Princess is going to be a must slot. Now, on teams where you don't have, a lot of DPS options, Future Princess Craig is a really solid duo. Okay, I personally don't like double tank outside of, specific Colo teams, but double tank's not a bad strategy. It's a pretty large safety net, and it's great reliability because your team's going to be so much tankier, especially with the party buffs of Future Princess and Craig. So you can run double tank. This is a team you're always going to have for free, okay? Future Princess you get for free for clearing World 9. Craig you're eventually going to get from either summons or I believe, what's the world where Craig appears? 7? I think 7 is the Arcfiend Abyss. I'm not sure if you get him from there, but you will either get him from summons really easily. He's a 2-star rare hero, so you're going to be pulling dupes of him eventually comfortably. Now, these are going to be the foundations for any, general story team. However, if you have multiple DPS options, you can either take out Future Princess or Craig, depending on who provides you more utility for your team. Now, that's going to be a topic for another video. I'm going to make a separate video discussing tanks, but it's going to get a bit too long here. Now, next up is going to be a healer, okay? Now, if you're new and you have the beginner, basic, party, whatever event, I'm just gonna call it beginner event, okay? It's too annoying to remember what it is. And so this is gonna be the core of your team. Future Princess, Craig, Maya, right? If you don't have Maya, this is where it's gonna get a little bit dicey, because now you could run something like Lorraine or even something like Aoba. It's gonna depend on your team composition, right? Next week, Kamael's here, and if you're a returning player and you only have Future Princess Craig and you pull for Kamael, you just want to slap Aoba in there and you're good to go. Now, if you're a new player starting on a new account, you can go towards Kamael and Maya. This is literally, you're going to want to run Kamael lead, especially if you have his EX, and I recommend you get his EX. Kamael without EX is so much weaker, and with EX, he's just so powerful, right? His weapon skill, the damage it provides, and the additional special passive it provides him with, it's so good. Absolutely get his EX, right? This is literally the most budget yet powerful story team. It has everything. You're unbelievably tanky. You have a decent amount of DPS, and you have really powerful heals. Kamael's healing, obviously, isn't the most broken thing, but it's good healing. So Kamael heal, Maya heal, Future Princess's heal aren't really strong, especially if you don't have her EX, whereas I don't think she heals much at all, if any, right? But you don't want to mileage Future Princess's EX unless you plan on using her in Arena later. There's just more valuable EXs in the game to mileage at that point, so don't bother. Craig's EX doesn't matter, right? It doesn't do anything all too special, so just don't bother or care about it, okay? This is literally it. This is the best story team. Now, some things you can obviously switch around, right? Let's say you're playing on a event week where there's no Kamael. You can tweak it. Tweak it to any other DPS you have. Yunha works fine. Claude works fine, right? Excuse me. But so many DPSs here works fine, right? And let's say you're really struggling and you don't have a unique hero DPS to use, right? What you can do is replace Claude and just slap on another healer. Literally, if you don't have any unique heroes, you can pretty much play comfortably, right? Future Princess lead, Maya, Craig, and Lorraine. You're gonna have an absurd amount of, but this is a team where you will need Future Princess's EX, because otherwise you're not gonna have much damage at all. This is considering that you're playing vegan Guardian Tales, where there's a horrible banner week and you can't summon on anything, and so this is what you have to work with, right? But regardless, your foundations for your team are going to be something like Future Princess, Maya, and Craig. If you have a different healer you want to use, for example, someone more offensive like Sia, or you want Ascended Karina later, you can use them. They're perfectly fine replacements for Maya. If you have Ogma, you can replace Future Princess for Ogma, in my opinion. It's Ogma and Craig are a better duo than Future Princess and Ogma, simply because Ogma scales better than Future Princess, but she's really good still. And this is the core foundation for any team. You can slot pretty much any DPS here, right? You could slap MK99 and you'd be good to go. This is the fundamental core of any story team. It's going to be so good and works in pretty much every content where there's a mixture of need for damage and also primarily survival. This is not a good raid comp. This is for story, okay? And that's going to be it. If you want gear, check out my item guides, right? I can't really give you itemization in the video, or it's going to get too long. But just check out my item guides, and there will be so many additional guides to check out on my channel as well. If you have any additional questions, make sure to join my community Discord. I can answer a lot of questions better there than on YouTube comments, because sometimes the comments just don't show up. And they're also a bit difficult to sift through. I do read pretty much 90% of comments, and if it's a really enjoyable comment, I'll heart it or I'll reply to it. But yeah, that'll be it. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, like, and leave a comment, and I'll see you all later in the next video.